If you have had trouble sticking to your language learning plan or routine, this video is for you. I know that there's a lot of conflicting advice about how to approach a language learning routine and also the frustration that follows whenever you are constantly falling off of it. So we're going to talk about 5 simple habits that you can implement this week in order to stick better to your plans. Let's redefine what consistency means, because it does not have to mean showing up every single day, even though you might have that impression from other language learners who have gotten, really fluent, really fast, etc. Remember that we're only seeing the highlight reel, and you are the most important component of your language learning. If you have a really rigid definition of consistency, then that can also mean that you're highly limiting yourself, that you're putting pressure on yourself to be something and get to a certain result in just an unsustainable time frame. That can really backfire whenever we are trying to make our plans stick, but we're having a hard time sticking to it because our definition of what consistency should mean is not fitting to our real life, right? If you have a really demanding job and you can't study every day, well, then you're going to build a lot of resentment towards the language learning process if you define consistency as showing up every day, even though you can't. So really think about how consistency can adhere to your real life, not just how you would like life to go or how you would like your language learning to go. Another habit that can really help is simply habit stacking by doing the same thing in the same location. When I was trying to refresh a lot of my Turkish and Arabic from last year, so I would always sit in the same cafe around the same time of day and also in the same table of the cafe watching the same series that I was following in Turkish, and then I would alternate days watching another series in Arabic. And then I would simply just eat my lunch as well. And it was something enjoyable. It was sustainable, and it was also useful because the series that I was watching was, of course, not probably even 70% comprehension for me. I had to use subtitles, so it was more like maybe 60%, but it was really helpful in getting my ear better accustomed again to hearing the language on a regular basis. That was mainly what I wanted to do. And so being able to habit stack like that, when I needed to eat lunch anyways, why not put in something that was enjoyable for language learning on top of that, was really helpful as well. Another habit I really suggest doing requires a tiny bit of planning, but it will make such a difference in the long term of making your language learning plans stick. And that is having a pre-planned automatic answer for difficult days when it is hard to show up in your language learning. Life is always going to get in the way. I'm not going to sit here and say that you will never miss a day again, right? But we can plan for that now that we know that about ourselves, and think about what is the lowest energy, like minimum good enough activity that I can cross off and accomplish even on a day where I'm really depleted from energy, and I still feel satisfied having done that. That's going to look different for everyone. Maybe it's listening for someone, maybe it is writing for another person. Really thinking about what is adaptable to you that really helps you simply just execute on the day when things are hard, instead of doing all of the mental gymnastics on the difficult day itself and thinking, oh my gosh, is this even going to count because I'm also low energy? If you pre-plan all of that in advance, that really eliminates the decision fatigue and wondering if things count. Because you pre-planned it, you know that whatever you're going to do is going to count. I've given this example before where if I am learning Korean, which is my most recent dabbling project, I can literally, on the days where I'm super tired, literally just draw the Hangul that I learned previously in the air. Like, I don't have to have any sort of utensils. I don't have to even have my phone in order to do it. It's just automatic and I execute. And there's some sort of consistency with that. And it makes my plans stick because I don't feel like I'm behind when I do feel low energy, because I still did my minimum energy activity for the day. And then for the next day, when I am back to having a little bit more energy, then I can keep on going on implementing my language learning routine and not feel guilty or like feeling behind because I missed a day. Again, because my pre-planned answer saved me from feeling like I had to start over. If you are interested in finding out how to build a full recovery framework, especially for your low energy days, then do make sure to grab my free training below to build that with me. The next habit to adhere to is to understand how to break intentions into digestible weekly plans, because sometimes when our plans don't stick, that means that sometimes what we expect of ourselves is too broad, okay? So just saying that we want to reach a B2 in listening in Spanish, that is not enough. That is so vague. And being able to understand the specific goal of what you want to be able to do with your specific listening skills, right? Who do you want to listen to? Where do you want to listen to it, right? How often do you want to be able to perform that certain activity or have that certain interaction, right? Understanding all those factors are so integral to being successful in sticking to your plan, because then once you have those goals figured out and the specifics, that's when you can understand, all right, these are still some of the skills or sub-skills that I need to improve in order to get to that goal. From there, these are the strategies and the activities that I'm going to use to practice to improve those skills to get to that goal. And then I'm going to match my plan to that. Have a weekly reflection of about 5 to 10 minutes is what I always recommend language learners I coach with to do inside the Mindful Fluency Method, because that is really what makes, again, your plan adaptable, especially when you are human and life is going to just happen sometimes and disrupt our plans. The last thing I suggest is getting into the habit of telling yourself that everything gets to count, even just 1% progress, even that lowest energy activity that you could bring yourself to do on an energy depleted day. We usually assign a lot of unconscious beliefs about what is allowed to count in language learning. I don't know about you, but I used to think that because I was such a high achiever, because I was and still am a really big perfectionist in many things in life, I thought that I had to struggle. I thought that I had to think that something was really hard and challenging in order for things to count. I thought I had to have a 1-hour study session of intense grammar-focused output and input in order for my studies to count for Russian, for example. And the fact is, I'm not gonna have energy to do that absolutely every single day, okay? Even breaking down that session of 1 hour all at once into maybe 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there in the evenings when I was lower energy, instead of doing it in the morning when I was higher energy, that is when I started to understand, hey, like I can, again, have some adaptability to what I am doing in my language learning. Everything gets to count, language learners. It doesn't have to be one way or the other. You are a full human behind your languages, and that humanness within you requires that you be adaptable, that you be flexible and keep things fun and lighter for you, especially when you are facing life disruptions or just really tired, stressful days that happen to all of us. So I'm curious to know what habit resonated with you most from this video. Make sure to like and subscribe because it really does help the algorithm spread my work to other language learners in the same boat as you. And we'll see each other in another video soon.